Next up, we have Deirdre Hidden and Johan Sternholm.
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks to Philip for inviting me. Thanks to Johan for collaborating with me. My name is Dee Hedden. I work in contemporary performance. I'm an academic, so mostly I research contemporary performance. Occasionally I create it. When I was a student, contemporary performance was called non-text-based theatre, and that in itself, I think, raises an interesting challenge for us. We were talking last night over dinner, and of course the one thing one can say about theatre is it is a collaborative arts practice. In its very nature, it depends upon collaboration. And so in the spirit of that, I seek some collaborators this morning. Oh my God, audience participation. It's very simple though. I want to try and attempt to create, in the spirit of Deleuze and Guattari, a rhizomatic presentation for you with no fixed beginning, no fixed ending. So it's a collage really of text. And 99% of these texts are not mine. So I suspect with those video cameras I'm in danger of breaking the copyright and fair use regulations, but our lawyers can tell me that after, because this is going on YouTube, I believe, and I wouldn't want the AHRC's copyright network to be in trouble. So you can let me know later, and I'm also showing some images that I definitely have not got permission to use. So, I know, but this is an educational forum, it's okay here, it's only if it goes, as far as I understand it, it's only if we then broadcast it. So it's within the fair right. Johan's going to help me here. The collaboration is very simple. Someone picks a colour and Johan hands it to me, and that's the text I then read. Someone else then picks a colour, I then read that text. But we're going to try and make the rhizome three-dimensional live art sculpture. So if you pick a text, you get to hold the piece of string, and then the next person who picks the text gets to hold the string, and we'll see if we can create this in 3 dimensions. It's dangerous, it's risky, because there's water on the table, but live performance is always a risk. It may not work. That's the nature of it, it may not work. I'm very ambivalent about copyright, hence and I'm using it in this way deliberately, because obviously I don't know what text you're going to pick, so I have to then find the slide. So I'm just keeping the PowerPoint in this way. Copyright and copyright, that is my ambivalence. The rights of people, yes, I care about them, but I work in the creative arts, and we've talked about that. I'm interested in the copywriter, where right equals the worker or the shaper. So what does copyright mean when we think of it as a creative practice of working with existing materials? So playing, I think, on this ambivalence between the rights that attached to creative work and allowing creativity to mess with that work, actually, which comes back, I think, to Ronan's point. So, first piece of paper, pick a colour. Just pick a colour. Just pick a colour, and then Johan will give you the string.
Okay, so I'll have red.
Red. Thank you. Yep, thank you very much. Can I have it from Johan? Sorry, you don't need to read it. We'll start. The string starts here with Charlotte. Great. Thank you very much. So now we've got how it works. I can see my twin. Okay. Copyright notice there. The text of performance. As Helen Freshwater writes, abridged version, until 1968 every piece of theatre performed upon the public stage in Britain had to be licensed by the Lord Chamberlain. The Lord Chamberlain and his examiners were absolutely dependent upon the figure of the author. Their licence operated by contractually committing the producer of the play to a pre-licensed script. The Lord Chamberlain's examiners consistently placed text in a superior position in relation to theatre. However, the dependence upon the existence of an original script ultimately exposed the weakness of the censorship's operational approach. Under this system, the practice of improvisation was effectively criminalised. Companies such as Theatre Workshop were prosecuted and fined for improvised departure from the approved licensed script. Improvisation refused to provide a pristine original. In this tradition of improvisation, there can be no original. Its contents are always reconstructed, repeated, and therefore incomplete. However, the Lord Chamberlain's real weakness was not exposed by his point-blank refusal to allow improvisation, but rather by the examiner's inability to deal with scripted drama. The Chamberlain's archive bears witness to performance's evasion of the authority of the text, as the Lord Chamberlain's attempts to tie performance to a licensed script were undone time and time again by innuendo, allusion, and the infinite expansion of stage business. The license of the play Felicity Jane, for example, produced in 1944, was recalled after the production was visited by an official. The Chamberlain had received complaints from audience members. Quote, "I have travelled all over the world and never sat through such pure grub," wrote one Mrs. Robert Mallet. The subsequent report on the play, in performance, concluded, rather embarrassedly one suspects, that, quote, "I can only suggest that the acting came over in a much worse light than the script implied." Colour.
Green.
Green. Can you pass me the green? Yes.
Yes, okay.
Thank you. Copyright notice. Beckett. Mel Gussow, The New York Times, March the 26th, 1994, abridged version. Samuel Beckett's Footfalls, a 20-minute monodrama that was originally staged in 1976, has become the centre of a theatrical tempest. Trustees of the playwright's estate were so enraged by Deborah Warner's revival that they cancelled the rights for a European tour. In Miss Warner's version, Miss Shaw, in the English expression, goes walkabout, moving from the stage to a promontory on the edge of the dress circle and then back to the stage again. The performance thus disregards the author's designations of costume, lighting and stage directions. While condemning the production, Edward Beckett, the playwright's nephew and executor, said, quote, "I don't want to preserve the plays in aspic. I think that would be harmful to Sam and to the estate. We're not trying to produce cloned productions, but we insist they play the play as Sam wrote it." The production destroyed the play's timing, atmosphere, the ghostly aspect. The hypnotic effect of the words was shattered by the perambulation. And for what purpose? End quote. Miss Warner's defence is that plays, especially great plays, should be subject to re-evaluation and reinterpretation. Having seen the original production in a videotape version, she said she felt that it, quote, "should be done a little more bravely to release Beckett for a new generation," end quote. The director is adamant in pointing out that the dialogue remained the same. "I am no cowboy when it comes to text," said Warner. Reached at a home in Sudbury, England, Miss Billy Whitelaw said that as she watched the production, "I felt as if Samuel Beckett were burned at the stake. I felt numb, physically ill." Imitating Beckett's voice, Miss Whitelaw remembered his advice. "Inward, Billy, always look inward." There was, she said, nothing inward about what occurred at the Garrick Theatre.
Yellow.
Yellow. Can you pass me the yellow, Andrews? Thank you. Yeah, good coach, doing very well there. Deirdre Hedden and Jane Milling, abridged version, with some unauthorised author's additions for this live moment. Against the political background of the 1970s and following the removal of theatre censorship in 1968, many theatre workers actively sought to create organisations that didn't promote or support bourgeois ideology, in particular the hierarchical structure of boss and workers. And this desire to implement models that ideally enabled the practice of participatory democracy led to the use of devising as a means of production. Now, devising is a mode of performance making that creates a text, usually collaboratively, without starting from an existing play script. Rather than one person assuming a position of ultimate control over the theatrical product and over those who created it, companies most often attempted to operate collectively. So Care and Control, the first play to arise from the women's section of Gay Sweatshop, founded in 1977, for example, followed an established model.